more cautious, because there were consequences again. There would be either self-regulation by the media association or media councils, or there would be legal recourse that you could get. Now you have individuals with the power of a journalist. You have what we would call pseudo-journalists. They have a gadget, they can tweet anything, they can write anything, and make it even look like it is real. Again, using those tools. We have tried to enhance the existing Cybersecurity Act, Misuse of Computer and Cybersecurity Act, to encompass the whole spectrum of those gadgets and technology that is prone to abuse, while also being very mindful that media freedom, or freedom of rather of expression, is very sacred to us as a people. I mean, Kenyans are known to be vocal, they're known to be voluble about the issues that affect them, and partially that is what we are known about in the region and even in the continent, that we are very expressive. Quite recently, if I may say, we saw what we call the Gen Z revolution, quote-unquote revolution, or demonstrations, highly organized through social media, through freedom of expression, through sharing of information. In some cases, however, there was sharing of misinformation which led something that was very well organized in a scale that we had never seen before, sometimes go afoul of the law. So there is government measures in place to regulate and give guidelines. But the biggest appeal is, one, to the mainstream media, or the journalists, as it were, to uphold the standards. And I'm happy to hear about Jamii Check, because this is what we are talking about. You must, within the media fraternity, or those who, journalists, or even the emerging bloggers who are now, some of them you might call them journalists, some of them are pseudo-journalists, they must, should it be, when it infringes on my right as a person. For example, I'm here seated, very well dressed in a suit, but AI can strip me of these trousers, and I'll be seated here, maybe talking the way I'm talking, but I am maybe in shorts or even in my undergarment. Should that be what we'll call, maybe it is satire, and we shouldn't have inhibit the freedom of expression as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm happy to hear that there's consensus in terms of making sure that, you know, the public and media houses and journalists all should become part of the process of creating policies and guidelines for AI usage. Now, in the interest of time, I would like to open for question and answers. Naomba msaada tafadhali for microphones to go around. So please, if you have a question to our speakers, just raise up your hand. The microphone will come to you. Please tell us your name, your question, and if you have a preference speaker that you would like to get a response from.
I have one hand here.
Yes, please.
Good morning. Thank you very much, panelists, for your honest conversations. I have a very curious question to Maxence. If we are to regulate AI in actually this region, how do we ensure that we focus on regulating the use of AI and not regulating the flow of free information? The liberties of free speech sometimes get lost in the pretext of regulation. I think this is my concern for journalism. The second one, across East Africa, the majority of the populations are behind the digital wall. And here we are. These are our audiences. You spoke about the audiences. How do we bring them at the center of the use and actually of the communication? Because the audiences need this information We might have a well-informed media, but where are the audiences? How do we break the barriers? This is on the basis that digital rights are human rights.
Thank you. Your good name, please?
I'm called Jan.
From?
Jan from Media Focus on Africa.
Thank you.
I have another hand here.
Thank you. My name is Kenneth Simbaya, Executive Director, Union of Tanzania Press Clubs. I'm not asking a question to any specific panelist, but whoever will feel like is ready to answer my question, that would be highly appreciated. If I listen to the contribution from the panel, all the panelists are acknowledging that AI is here, is important, and as any time when there's technology advancement, it comes for the people, not against people. So as we understand that the better use of technology depends on the discipline of understanding how you can leverage that technology for the advantage as opposed to making it as a curse or something like that. My question is now, how can we collaboratively, underline that word, work together? Because the vulnerability can come to any segment that's not having the understanding and the capability to be able to use that technology properly. That's where there'll be the entry point of the vulnerability, which can harm every good thing that comes with that technology. So how can we collaboratively work together to make sure that we are empowering people to be able to use the technology for advancement as opposed to other users? Thank you.
Asante sana, Kenneth.
You see, I can see somebody behind there.
Good morning. My name is Josephat Mwanzi. I just want to gain knowledge from the talks that have been going on this morning by asking, do you see any possibilities for the media in this year in Tanzania to use AI during elections?
Thank you, Josephat. Are there any more hands?
We see none.
Okay, so
if you may allow me to ask your panel as well, because I know some are afraid to speak. I wanted Max and the rest of the panelists if they can tell us the biggest challenge in AI and freedom of expression, and what are the mitigating circumstances that can be used. I think that is something the journalist will be afraid to ask because they are using AI. I'm not representing them,
There's
but I thought...
one more question from here. One more question from
we take note of your question, Innocent. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your good discussion. My question is about the expense of using AI. Using AI is not an issue as a journalist, but the problem is the cost. As a newsroom, you need to invest a lot to get this use of these tools. It needs a lot of money, and I think you understand. So how do we overcome this situation as a media, at this moment we are struggling financially to run ourselves? Thank you.
We have another one here, if you allow it, madam.
You can also ask in Kiswahili, jamani, eh?
Yes, I think
Please
we will take,
feel free to also
we'll
ask in
take
Kiswahili.
that, and we will wrap this first round.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Edwin Soko. I would like to know the challenge of the AI and copyright. You know that in Europe, there's a lot of discussion about the copyright, especially to the content. So this is my my question. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Soko. So maybe we can take some of the responses now. Would you like to go first, Max?
I even forgot, but I remember there was Jano Ajwang from Uganda. I need to read your question. There were a lot of questions, I had to write them, you know. On regulating AI, right? As I mentioned, collaboration is key, and the participation of multi-actors is very key. Governments, especially politicians, should not think like they are doing this without engaging civil society, the media, and citizens themselves. So citizen participation should be the core of whatever kind of regulation or policy framework that is being formulated. And there are times when it might seem like it's not working. Still, looking for actors, being it local, regional, and international actors, on rethinking on the policies we have, the kind of, like you said, on Computer Misuse Act in Kenya, when you had it. There are times when you're like, it's time to amend the law, or it's time to revisit the framework. So, as for me, first is respecting the country's constitution. The constitution of Tanzania is very clear when it comes to Article 18 of the constitution. But authorities might come up with a certain kind of piece of law or regulation which is in contravene with that kind of section. So I think citizen participation, CSO participation, media actors participation is very key when we are formulating a certain kind of piece for regulating, whether it's AI, emerging technologies, and whatever comes moving forward. And there was another one which came from Soko, changamoto za AI kwenye maswala ya haki miliki. I think that's what you meant.
Yes.
Akili mnemba au akili undwe, akili unde, inaweza isiwe yenyewe ndo changamoto. Kama nilivyosema awali, changamoto ni watu. Lakini kwa kuwa akili mnemba inachokifanya ni nini? Haswa generative AI unapokuwa inachukua maudhui yaliyochakatwa na mwandishi. Ni bahati mbaya sana, watu wengi hasa waandishi, habari mnapoziandika zinaingia kwenye tovuti za taasisi unayofanyia kazi. Na dada Salome, utakuwa unakumbuka siku za nyuma tushai kujengeana uwezo, Salome Kitomari, umeuliza swali pia. Maudhui yakisha ingia mtandaoni, kama hayajasemwa kwamba haya maudhui hayaruhusiwi kusambazwa tena, redistribution, yanakuwa ni stealable. Sijui kama naeleweka. Na lazima hiki kitu kiwaingie wanahabari. Kikiingia mtandaoni si chako tena. AI inapata wapi tunachokiconsume? Ni sisi tunaipa. Garbage in, garbage out. Kile tunachokiingiza kwenye dijitali ndicho AI inachakata. AI haiji newsroom kuwanyang'anya taarifa au habari yenu. Ila kwa kuwa mmeiweka mtandaoni na hakuna mlikoweka disclaimer kwamba maudhui yetu yasitumike 1, 2, 3, utailaumu AI ikichakata maudhui yale. Ni muhimu, na ndio maana nikasema tujengeane uwezo jinsi ya kutengeneza sera kwa mitandao, kwa ndani ya taasisi, na hata vyuoni tusaidiane na vyuo, tutengeneze namna ya kuwajenga wanahabari wajao, kuwa na sera rafiki za ndani ya chombo cha habari, lakini na namna ya kuweka maudhui mtandaoni. Narudia, kikisha ingia mtandaoni si chako. Asante.
Asante sana, Maxis. We have a couple more questions. So maybe Susan or His Excellency might be able to take them up. There's a question about how we can collaboratively work together to make sure that people are empowered. I think Kenneth asked that question. How do we collaboratively make sure people are empowered to use AI?
Okay, let me respond to Kenneth's question. Okay, We as Jamii Africa, that's why we're going through this kind of transition. We have established ourselves in Uganda. Media Focus is our partner in Uganda. We are getting into Kenya. We're going to DRC, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, IMS. I think Mr. Rashid, are you around? Yeah, we have someone from Zimbabwe. But the only way is the way that was like collaboration is key. So in whatever kind of geography we're getting into, we don't call them countries. These are just geographies. In whatever geography you're getting into, we look for like-minded actors. We rethink, every geography has its own different context. We sit down with the stakeholders. We think on what's happening, why is it happening, what are the ethical concerns, and then actually the solutions are from these actors that we find in the space. And we have UN bodies wherever we go. We have development partners wherever we go. We have media actors. We have CSOs. We have also state actors. When we went to Uganda, we were lucky that we got someone from President Museveni's office into our space to get to understand why Jamii Africa is getting into Uganda and what might be some kind of commitment needed from state actors in Uganda. And they were ready to work with us. The thing is, we cannot win by working in silos. Collaboration is key.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions. Any possibility to use AI during the elections? That's an interesting one. Maybe His Excellency can take this one.
I think the question very, very quickly. So, and even disseminate information. And I would think one of the areas that you may want to use AI fruitfully is be able to create maybe even chatbots that are able to be very responsive to questions that citizens may want to ask. What are the manifestos of the different parties that are participating in this election? How may we be able to judge between this and that? I think these are possibilities that are there, and they're generic. They could be adapted in any jurisdiction. But whether they're going to use them here, whether it would be official policy, I think that is for the government of Tanzania to determine. And the citizens of Tanzania to see, in the space that they have, how may they be able to do it? It's also a tool of mobilization. Because if I share with you my 5 points why I think you should be able to elect this particular party or candidate, and I give you facts based on AI, because AI has capacity to collect historical data and be able to share, analyze trends, analyze maybe fulfillment of promises and manifestos, then it becomes quite an effective tool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your
I
Excellency.
can contribute on that a little.
Okay.
Let me say this in Swahili, intentional. Wakati wa uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2025, Tanzania itashuhudia matumizi ya dijitali kuliko wakati wowote uliowahi kutokea, ikiwemo AI itakavyotumika. Na ni kwa nini? Mwaka 2020 Tanzania ilikuwa na watumiaji wa internet, nimeona wenzetu TCRA, milioni 25. 2025, 50 million. Na utumiaji wa AI umeshaanza. Tuliona uchaguzi wa serikali za mitaa uliopita. The use of AI was so high. Actually, manipulation kubwa haikufanywa kwenye mainstream media. Ilifanyika kwenye digitali kwa kutumia AI. Wakati wa uchaguzi mkuu itakuwa double. Itakuwa ni mara 2 ya kuliko uchaguzi wa serikali za mitaa. Jamii Africa kwa kushirikiana na TCD, Tanzania Center for Democracy, tumeanza kujengea uwezo vyama vya siasa. Moja, kwa sababu tunataka wawe responsive kuhusiana na ilani. Watu wanapouliza maswali, kama ulivyosema Mheshimiwa Balozi, wataanza kutengeneza chatbots za kuwa zina respond. Hauna sababu ya kusema leo ni saa 8 usiku siwezi kuwajibu, kutakuwa na roboti inayojibu watu. Lakini hata hivyo tunataka chatbot pia ziwe zina heshima kwa muktadha wa nchi yetu. Asante.
Thank you. Would you like to add, Susan?
No, I fully agree that AI is here. It is being used. To what extent is different for everybody, but it is being used. So of course it's going to be used for the election. It's being used for everything that we're doing now. It's a given. I wanted to tackle that issue of what's the greatest challenge. Because for me, the greatest challenge is in some of these tools that we're using is that they are very hard to regulate. So you have produced your content. How does that content reach me? How do I share that with others? For AI to be AI, it needs the data, it needs the algorithms, which is how it thinks. We're not privy to that information. We're not privy to the formula of how it thinks, so to speak. And you need the computational capacity. So for me, when we use some of these tools, especially the social media tools, we run the risk of moving into a future, if we're not careful, where there's no shared understanding of whatever it is that we're talking about. So the information that you have created goes to your group of people, and some other information goes to some other group of people. There's no shared understanding. And then you end up in at risk of ending up in a very fractured place. We have seen this in the electoral processes of many countries now. It is dangerous. It is exceedingly dangerous. So while we're focused on how we can better use these tools for now, I think as society, we truly should be deliberating on, okay, how can we minimize these tools leading us into a world where it's fractured? How do you manage society when our understandings are so different from one another? It's hard to manage society then. For me, that is the biggest challenge. And I think we're only now beginning to try and wrap our heads around it. For me, the mere fact that when we all go on Facebook at some point, or Instagram, or whatever the social media tool is that we're talking about, I see very different things from you. And these tools are exceedingly clever in terms of utilizing our behavior and psychology. Exceedingly clever. Because the aim is to customize the experience. So if that is a fundamental aim, we have a problem in terms of our shared understanding of what is and what is not. So for me, that is a problem, maybe not so huge for us today, now. We're not in that situation of huge fractions yet. Yeah, that is not our biggest challenge. But moving into the future, I think that's something that we absolutely have to grapple with because it doesn't bode very well, quite frankly. These are not public goods. Yeah, they're instruments that we have access to, we use, but they're not public goods. They're owned. Private companies.
Leverage on it, optimize its usage, while at the same time guarding against the unwanted outcomes from the usage of this. My thoughts are maybe about three of them. One, we need to develop ethical guardrails. Media houses and media practitioners must develop in-media standards that they are able to hold their journalists to, and even those who do not belong to the journalistic fraternities that we have, or the organized journalistic fraternities that we have, use your power through AI and forums like JamiCheck and others to fact-check the information that is going out for consumption. Number two, capacity building. I know Innocent asked a question that related to capacity building. And you can develop capacity building in-house through media councils, media associations, and different kind of forums. I'm quite encouraged by what EAC Secretariat is doing to empower people, and being able to empower 50,000 people. Now that is moving to scale. so that people can be able to appreciate the usefulness of this tool and also the hazards that may come with this tool. So capacity building is necessary to build that kind of digital literacy. And why is it necessary? It is more about teaching you how to anticipate and how to be able to operate within certain acceptable set standards that ensure responsibility and accountability, because generative AI by nature will continue evolving. And then finally, collaboration. Collaboration with government institutions in terms of framing, coming up with policy and regulations that are not only serve their purpose, but are also friendly to encourage innovation and usage of these tools that we are very fortunate in this time in the world to be alive when they're there. AI can be a tool for tremendous good. Tremendous good. Let me just explain something. AI did not just start in 2020 when we have seen generative AI. The journey for AI goes back many decades, maybe from the 60s, when they were trying to build some neural networks to try and get these machines to think, develop machine thinking processes and that. There is a Nobel laureates, two of them, I forget their names, got their Nobel Prize in 2024, but they started their work, I think, in 1964 or something like that. We've had development. We've had ELIZA, I think, that came with IBM. With Alexia that we use, with Samsung or rather with Android is part of AI. Siri is part of AI. But generative AI is a different ballgame. And we must be able to work together to be able to regulate our usage in society, that it works towards good and not the detriment of our own society. Thank you.
Asante sana, Mheshimiwa Balozi. Final thoughts from you, Susan?
These are exciting times that we live in. I fully agree that it is here to stay. The people in this room, the journalists, play a very critical role in society in making sure that we all stay informed on the issues that concern our lives. So I think it makes sense. I really like this forum that we're looking at AI, trying to understand what these tools are, trying to understand how we can better leverage them. It's very clear for productivity reasons, they should be leveraged, but also trying to understand what sort of guardrails we need to ensure that they are used responsibly. I think this is the first place where it starts, but we need to make sure that we also educate those who consume the information that we provide. And aggressively so, quite frankly, that everybody can understand what these tools are and better appreciate them and use them properly. You called it capacity building. I think education is absolutely critical where we are now. And somebody mentioned cost. I think cost is important, policy issues in terms of how to access some of these tools, how to reduce the barrier.
Karibu, Maxence.
Asante. I'm the one who speaks Swahili, so it's intentional. When she was concluding, I remember what Salome asked. Actually, Salome, the cost is not that high as one may assume. Ni rahisi kusema mifumo itakuwa na gharama, lakini gharama sio kubwa kabisa. Mifumo ni nafuu kuliko watu. Gharama unazoingia kwa kutokuwa na mifumo ya kisasa ni kubwa kuliko watu au human intervention inapokuwa ipo sana. Kwa hiyo nadhani ni vizuri wamiliki wa vyombo vya habari wakahakikisha kwamba wanawekeza kwenye kujenga mifumo ya kisasa ili na sisi tufanye kazi kisasa. Lakini mwisho nikiwa na conclude sasa, teknolojia ipo, itaendelea kukua na kuizuia ni vigumu, haizuiliwi kwa mkono. Tujaribu kuembrace mashirikiano baina ya wadau wote, vyuo vikuu, vyuo vya kati, wanahabari, wadau wa maendeleo, serikali. Tushirikiane kuhakikisha kwamba tunasaidiana kujengeana uwezo. Tunaanza leo. Ndiyo maana tunao Google watakuwa na session leo. Wapo wenzetu Meta, wamesafiri wamekuja, wapo, kuna sessions zinaendelea, wanahabari na wahamasisha. Hawa tumewaleta kimkakati. Watumieni, anzeni na elimu leo. Asanteni sana.
And that marks, asante sana, that marks the end of the panel discussion, first panel discussion for today. Many thanks to our panelists for their thoughtful insights. Thank you for your engagement and your questions. I hope this dialogue today reminds us that in this age of AI, we must continue to be vigilant in defending the truth, dignity, and freedom of expression. Allow me to kindly now allow our speakers to leave the stage. Let's put our hands together for them.
Kabla hawajaondoka, tunaomba wapate picha ya pamoja. Just a group photo for you. Kabla hamjaondoka. Tunawashukuru sana sana panelists wetu. Tunaamini kwamba majadiliano haya yamekuwa na manufaa na yamechochea mawazo yetu katika mijadala inayofuata siku ya leo. Tuna siku imejaa mijadala. Inahusiana na mambo mbalimbali, lakini swala la akili mnemba likiwa kitovu cha mijadala yetu. Kwa hivyo natumaini kwamba tutakapokwenda katika sessions zingine tutakuwa na mengi ya kujadiliana pamoja kama makundi. Sasa tukiwashukuru panelists wetu na wakiondoka jukwaani, ni wakati wa break kidogo, tupate chai kidogo. Sisi tutoka Dar es Salaam aka upepo aka kidogo kana tuvuruga. Kwa hiyo nadhani muhimu tupate kikombe cha chai kidogo, halafu tuendelee na ratiba yetu. Na kwa kuzingatia muda dakika 15.
We mama mkandani, toka nje usikie, kutwa we kila siku ndani, toka basi usikie. Na we kaka ughaibuni, rudi Afrika usikie, wewe miaka yote mbali.
For those who are standing, please, may you take your seats. Nancy,
we mama mkandani, toka nje usikie, kutwa we kila siku ndani, toka basi usikie. Na we kaka ughaibuni, rudi Afrika usikie, wewe miaka yote mbali, rudi basi usikie. Kuna habari inavuma, vuma vuma vuma, vuma vuma vuma, vuma vuma vuma, vuma vuma vuma. Uko Ngujama we, uko Ngujama we, kuna mtu kasimama kwenye kona ya jahazi, anaoji uhalali wa muungano. Na mwingine kasimama juu ya kidau chake, analilia nchi yake, analilia Zanzibario. Uko Baranako, kuna mtu kasimama juu ya kaburi lake, analilia roho yake, analilia Tanganyika. Vuma vuma vuma, vuma vuma vuma, vuma vuma vuma. safu safu wanapita, wamejaa kwenye mitaa na mabango wameshika, ama wanalilia nchi yao, wanalilia nchi yao, wanalilia mbuga zao, na wengine wanajipanga waje wadai mlima wao, watadai mito yao, watadai migodi yao, watadai tume yao, hawatawaua na wenzao. Kumbe imekwisha, kumbe imetoweka amani, kumbe imepita, kumbe haina hodi vita, kumbe imefika. Viongozi wanajivunia kuwa wa Tanzania, wananchi wanavumilia kuwa wa Tanzania. Nchi imetiwa giza, macho yana kiu ya nuru, kumbe si demokrasia, kumbe ni demokrasia, kumbe si demokrasi, kumbe ni democracy, demonstration of craziness. We mama mkandani, toka nje usikie, nawe kaka ughaibuni, rudi Afrika usikie, kuna habari inavuma, vuma vuma vuma.
We'll resume in 5 minutes, so please continue visitors. Endelea kidogo.
Sasa. I'm not a soldier, I'm not a rebel, I'm just a fighter. Not a soldier, not a rebel, just a fighter. I fight alone with my music to save my people. Ficha kino chako, ficha we kino chako, ko la msema kwelio, lipo hatalinio, liniwe litakwepa kisu, kisu kimeshanolewa, lewa ubwabwaje ovyo. Washanoa noa wanapulula, washapulula pulula yote magamba, magamba ya mti wangu we, oh mti wangu we, mti wangu we, oh nchi yangu we. Kwanza mti ni wangu we, tena wabibi kapanda uani kwangu we. Nata kama wababu bado ni urithi wangu we. Wamekuja tena ndugu zangu wa damu, wameng'oa na shina, wameondoka nalo we. Walichuma majani ya mti wangu we, wakafanya mboga minala ugali mtupu we. Walikwalua magamba ya mti wangu we, wakafanya dawa mimi nafana magonjwa we. Walichimba mizizi ya mti wangu we, walikaanga mingine wakaipika, mingine wamechemsha, wamefanya chakula mimi nakufa na njaa. Oh mti wangu we, oh nchi yangu we. alirithi babu, babu akarithi baba, baba nikarithi mimi, mimi wananipokonya warithi nini wanangu? Niseme wapio ili wapate tambua kwamba wananiumiza kuifuja nchi yangu, urithi wa wanangu. Nasemea mdomoni wanakosemea wenzangu, kweli hawauoni. Nikisemea kwingine wasikosemea wenzangu, wanasema ninawatukana, wanasema chafu domo langu. Oh nchi yangu we, nchi yangu we, oh nchi yangu we. Some of our people will have large amount of money and spend on their life while others have nothing. Those who have received this privilege, they must pay back sacrifice like others have made. They are like a man who has been given all food from a starving village in order that he may bring back surplus from far distance. If young men who have been given education by the people of this republic and fail to use the knowledge for the development of this nation, then they are traitors and slaves. This is what I have been taught by Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere on May Day 1964. My name is Vitali Maembe. I aim to save my people with all I've got, and I will always render services to people until the days come for me to join my
everyone.
ancestors.
Tafadhali,
I'm not a
naomba
soldier.
tukae kwenye viti.
I'm not a rebel.
Thank
I'm
you
just
so
a
much,
fighter.
Vices.
Not a soldier, not a rebel, just a fighter.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for our entertainer. Okay, how was your, was it, it's not breakfast, usia, ilikuwa ni staftahi au kichangamsha mdomo. Okay, now we are going for the next session. We are supposed to have a session on testimonies from journalists, but this one will do it immediately after the next session. The next session is a plenary on the future of media sustainability in the digital era, and this will be moderated by none other than Madam Anastasia Rugaba from Tuaweza. A round of applause as she approached the podium. Yeah, we'll have a presentation and then it will tell us, it will call the panel. Karibu sana, Madam. Au wakupigie tena makofi unapokuja kusimama hapa. The mic.
Thank you, Kakamungi, and thank you for being there. Tangu enzi hizo za analogia mpaka sasa. We have very few of you in the room, and thank you for being around. Of course, you guys are only 25% of the population of this country. Yeah, so the rest of the people are 75%. Kwa hiyo muwe wapole sana. Na mimi nikiwemo, of course. All right, yeah. So karibuni sana kwenye session hii, and all right, thank you, Nancy. I'm informed that we have to begin with a presentation from Google, and I need to invite a representative from Google to do a presentation for 20 minutes. And after that presentation, we will go ahead to the discussion about the media sustainability. Please, Nancy. Nancy? Oh, it's online. All right, okay, so they are connecting online. We will have that presentation for at least 20 minutes because our time is very limited. And after that presentation, we will go on to our discussion on sustainability, and we will be. So just get your phone ready. We have QR code on the board, and you will screen that QR code. You will scan it, I mean. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, while we are waiting for the presentation, maybe we can also display the QR code for people to start responding to the questions. All right, I need communication with it. What comes first, the QR code or the presentation? Please direct me. All right. Kenneth Kiunga. Is Kenneth ready? All right. Otherwise, if it is taking too much time, maybe we can begin with the keynote address of our session, and then the presentation from him will follow. All right, thank you, thank you. Yeah, once again, karibuni tena kwenye session yetu. Yeah, tuliambiwa kuna mwenzetu ila hayuko hapa na sisi, angependa kuwasilisha presentation yake angalau kwa dakika 20 kabla ya session yetu. Lakini naona bado wanajiandaa, so we can go ahead with our session. Wakiwa tayari tutawapatia nafasi hiyo. All right, we are discussing the media sustainability. Hali ni tete. I know some of us kidogo wamekata tamaa, we have given up in a way when we think about the future of the media, but I hope after this session, some of us will leave here hopeful, and we will be having ABC to implement back when we go back in our offices. All right, now I should invite Aidan. Aidan Yakuze, karibu sana. He's going to do a keynote address before we do our discussion. It's very fortunate to have this guy here. Most of you thought he's already in the US, of course, but maybe he came for this session, and it means we are so special. So we have the CEO of Open Government Partnership. Don't mix with Twaweza. He's the CEO of Open Government Partnership. Karibu sana Aidan for the keynote address.
Thank you, Anastasia. Good morning. Don't mess with technology. It can mess you up at any time. So let me try and go through my keynote, and then Google will come and do their thing. Is that all right, Anastasia? Thank you. When I was preparing this, I actually looked at the theme of the World Press Freedom Day and tried to craft my remarks around that. They might touch a little bit on media viability and sustainability in the digital era. We'll see. I hope it'll make a connection. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, what happens when the world's most powerful information tool meets the cornerstone of democracy, a free press? Do they amplify each other, or do they collide in ways that undermine both? Now, that is the big question that our brave new world demands that we answer. So artificial intelligence is no longer emerging. It is here as the new infrastructure of influence. Governments, media houses, businesses, citizens, we are all experimenting with it in one way or another. But the critical question is, Will AI empower citizens, or will it be yet another tool to control them? We live in an era of mutually assured surveillance. Yes, states and companies use AI to monitor us, as Madam Susan said. But what if we turned that lens around? What if journalists and citizens used the AI to watch the watchers, to shine light where others prefer shadows? So today, let me offer 3 reflections on how to ensure that AI, press freedom, and public power serve rather than degrade democracy and human dignity. And how, in doing so, enhancing media sustainability by making it more relevant and salient to the moment. So the first thought, AI, artificial, can and must ignite civic engagement. AI's potential is not abstract. It is already helping citizens hold power to account. Let me share some examples. In Nigeria, civic tech group Budget, it trained a machine learning tool called BIMI to detect irregularities in government budgets. Suddenly, missing funds aren't hidden. They're flagged for every Nigerian citizen to see. In Kenya, Ambassador, newspapers like The Star and Daily Nation use AI-driven chat tools and data visualizations to make complex stories accessible, sparking public debate and scrutiny. These are not stories of technology replacing journalists. They are stories of technology amplifying journalistic purpose to inform, to engage, to empower citizens. Civic engagement doesn't just happen by accident. It is nurtured when journalists use AI to open doors, not close them. But here's the thing. AI will only serve accountability if it is fed with good data, it is governed by independent scrutiny, and it is backed by institutions that welcome transparency and debate and don't fear it. Second point, to the point Susan was making here very, very pointedly in the first panel, AI can help build a shared reality in an age of disinformation. This sounds counter to what you were saying. Let me quote a poem. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. This is a line from Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It describes the predicament of a sailor on a ship surrounded by salt water, yet unable to quench his thirst. We are drowning in an ocean of information, and yet starving for thirst-quenching truth. Disinformation, deepfakes, and truth decay threaten the very foundation of democratic discourse. As Maria Ressa, the fearless Filipino journalist and 2021 Nobel Peace Prize winner, writes in her book, "Without facts, there is no truth. Without truth, there is no trust. Without trust, no shared reality. And without that, democracy dies." But, AI can help us rebuild that shared reality, but only if we use it wisely. In Ukraine, open source investigators used AI to verify battlefield images, countering propaganda in real time. In Estonia, civil society and government teamed up to develop AI-powered fact-checking tools, defending citizens against digital manipulation. These examples show that AI, when guided by journalistic integrity and civic purpose, becomes a shield, not a sword. So let's be clear. AI is an amplifier, not a solution. It can filter noise, but it cannot replace human judgment. It can speed up research, but it cannot define the truth. It is up to you, to us, well, to you mostly, editors, reporters, fact-checkers, to ensure that AI serves public interest journalism, not the interests of those who profit from confusion. In this task, you journalists do much more than reporting facts. You defend reality itself. Third, AI must be democratized, or it will be, and has been, weaponized. We've seen this story before. Twitter was hailed as a tool of liberation during the Arab Spring. Facebook promised to connect us all to civic life, but these same platforms became engines of surveillance, division, and exploitation. The lesson is simple, was made here by Max and the Balozi. Technology, like a kitchen knife, is neutral until someone decides how to use it. If AI remains in the hands of a few powerful corporations and governments, the rest of us risk becoming data points, not decision makers. That's why journalists must not only use, and to use Max's word, embrace AI, they must also interrogate it. Investigative reporters should ask, who built this algorithm? Whose interests does it serve? What biases are hidden beneath the code? So imagine a media landscape in which AI helps to expose corruption buried in procurement data, like in Nigeria, where AI translates legal jargon into plain language for every citizen to understand. In June 2024, Patrick Gadara, a Kenyan journalist, translated the entire constitution into Sheng so that young people can understand it. Can we do that? Can we? Here's a challenge to journalists, maybe to Vitali, our musician, to translate the Constitution of the United Republic of Tanzania into a bongo flavor song. That'll be and make it understand. Where whistleblowers are protected by smart tools that surface truth while shielding identities. Jamii Africa's Fichua Uovu platform is a great example of this. This is not science fiction. It is within reach, but only if we insist that AI works for democracy, not against it. This requires more than just imagination. It demands independent institutions, robust privacy protections, and unwavering commitment to journalistic integrity. Friends, this brave new world is still being written. So let me end with what are for me some defining questions. Will technology serve people, or will people serve technology? Will journalism thrive as a pillar of democracy, or be reduced to a factory for clicks, feeding algorithms with our attention and our emotions, mostly fear and outrage? Will we build revenue models that sustain a free press, or will we let data exploitation hollow it out? These are not questions for tomorrow. They demand answers today, now. AI will undoubtedly shape journalism and media sustainability, but we get to decide how and for whom. So let us choose a future where AI serves truth, not power, where journalists, civil society, watchdogs, citizens alike are equipped to hold the powerful to account. This is not a task for journalists alone, nor for just civil society organizations, or judges, or legislators acting in isolation or disconnected. It is a task for all of us. If we act with courage, with clarity, and with conviction, AI will not define the future of journalism. We will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aidan. You're not going back to your seat. Apologies, you'll just have to sit here because I have a few questions for you. But before I ask these questions, I would like to invite on the panel the panelists that we have in the room today. Nuzulak, please, where are you? The storyteller. Let's clap for him as he is coming here. Yeah, he's coming from Nukta. Rashwet, Kaka Rashwet from IMS. Where are you, my brother? Oh, here he is. Karibu sana. And Jan from Media Focus. From Kampala, all the way from Kampala, Jan Ojuang. Oh, there she is. Praise, clap hands for her. Yeah. And I would also want to invite Dina from Media Council, Karibu Sana from Media Council of Kenya. Karibu, Karibu. But also Tanzania Media Foundation. Dunstan, where are you? He's not very far. Clap hands for him as well. All right, so these guys here will help us to leave this room with an assurance of the media sustainability. You can have a seat at the end. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I know I'm mindful of time, so I won't read the biographies of these amazing people here, but they are all Googleable. Kwa Kiswahili tunasema wako Googleable. If you just Google them, yani hata ukiwapiga tu picha hivi, ukamuuliza Google, atakupa a lot of their profiles, and some of them are even in Wikipedia. So don't worry, you'll get the biographies of these guys there. But I would want them to speak with us so that we can leave this room with an assurance of the media sustainability in our regional media outlets. But before we hear their voices, I want Aidan to respond. Just a few questions for us from his keynote address. Aidan, you mentioned about how AI can help journalists fight corruptions and engage citizens. I heard you, and I was some kind of optimistic when you said that, but I was just asking myself how many newsrooms don't have much money or tech skills, yeah? And how can smaller media outlets start using AI without losing control to big tech companies, yeah? Nuzulak will agree with me, Dunstan will agree with me when we look at the situation of our local media houses, and I'm just asking myself, how can they engage and use AI and tech? Karibu.
Asante. You're asking the wrong person. I wish I was a journalist or a media. I'm a consumer of media. And I think the bigger question is for media to ask, how can we enhance our relevance in the current context, in our current environment? And then the tools, whether it's AI, media houses, cameras, whatever, come as a second point. That's why I was, trying to make the point about truth, making the point about helping citizens to make sense of the world, in a way that is accessible. That's why I was talking about Patrick Gadara taking the Kenya Constitution, a very abstract, noble document, and turning it into something that ordinary Kenyan citizens can use to assert their rights, right? So can newsrooms, and I don't know, maybe newsrooms are a dying breed, because all journalists, all citizens now can become newsrooms with their breaking news on their Twitter feed, Instagram feed, whatever it is. Really, let's think about it. Are newsrooms really going to survive? And if they're going to have to, if they are going to survive, they're going to have to rethink how they stay relevant, become relevant, engage with their audiences, and help them to make sense, and help them to stay focused on the important things, on the truth. So the fundamental thing is to ask, how relevant are we in this moment? How much are we responding to the needs, not necessarily the wants and the desires of our fellow readers and our audiences? And how can we best deliver truth, insight, engagement, education to our people?
All right, yeah. And I have one more question for you. In 1,019 years, yeah, mwaka 1900, yes, yeah, 1900s. The speed of information was after every century. Yeah, the turnaround was after every century. But today, we speak about maybe after every 12 hours, or probably it even might go 6 hours. I don't know. The speed is too fast. It is too fast.
In the models, it can hallucinate, right? It can tell you wrong things. So let us not be seduced just by speed. That speed needs to be embedded, couched in a deeper understanding of the context of the story of the sector that you're writing about. And then the speed can help you get that story out faster. But if you don't know about the sector, and you ask AI, write me a story about this, and it tells you hallucinations, you lose credibility if you publish that as, hey, Aiden, the byline, Aiden says this, but I don't know anything about the sector. So we have to be careful. So journalists, be fast, use it, but also do a little bit of research underlying what it is, the theme or the sector or the story that you're writing about. Understand it before you...
Experience. I know you have a global experience on this. How do the challenges facing media sustainability in Tanzania compare to other restrictive environment? And if there are any unique trends or common patterns that you can share with us in the room. Karibu.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and to appreciate the invitation to be part of this dialogue. I think we do accept that the media sector has shifted significantly at a global level. And this is an issue that is widely acknowledged in the media development sector, but also in the broader society. And from the organization I'm coming from, International Media Support, we did a very interesting research end of last year, which we call Where is the Money? And this was intending to look at the state of media sustainability and viability at a global level. So we looked at Africa, Latin America, Middle East and North Africa, and Asia. And we are also part of what we are calling the Media Viability Manifesto, which is an attempt at creating a common framework on how we can support media in a changing environment or context. The common denominator on media sustainability at a global level is that the media architecture is shifting, and shifting significantly, more so as a result of digitization. And the two key pillars that have sustained the media over the years, that is businesses in terms of advertising, revenues, and audiences have shifted. But for Africa, there's also another third pillar, which is government policy, which is government attitudes, which is government practices and actions. Historically, media was already struggling. A threat that we are significantly struggling as African media to conceptualize the changes that are happening in our media ecosystem. So we still have the same business models that we had in the past. And if there is an area where there is resistance in our newsrooms, it is actually in shifting from the old business models. It is an integration of the newsroom. It is in coming up with the digital policies that enhance our audience reach. But from a global perspective, there has been a move towards philanthropic media support. And for Africa, I think the challenge again is that our economies are struggling. And many of our people do survive in the small-scale businesses and informal sector. And they do not have the capacity to support media in the same manner that you would have in the Western or developed world. And the businesses that we have that are established, be it in commerce, be it in mining, are also concerned about the attitude of governments toward the media. If a bank in Tanzania, in Zimbabwe, in Kenya is to come out to support independent media, what would be the attitude of the political elites towards such a business? So we actually have a situation in media, and this is enabled by media enhancing its value proposition. Part of the challenge of the shifts that we are seeing, that you already talked of, Aiden, is that our audiences can now speak back, media consumers.
Checking. Ukiangazia future ya media. Checking. Ukiangazia future ya media.
Kwenye kupata mapato, kwa sababu ilivyokuwa imekuja tu digital journalism ni general, watu wanapata habari kirahisi, zile nyanja za kupata mapato, traditional revenue models, ambazo aiza umuuze audience, kwamba kwa advertisers upate pesa, ama umuuzie audience moja kwa moja ile content, ilianza kupungua kwa sababu vyombo vya habari tulipoteza ile control ya information. Sasa wakati imekuja AI, kwanza imetusaidia kupunguza yale maumivu, kwa sababu vyombo vya habari vingi havikuwa na wafanyakazi wengi, waandishi wa habari. Kuna retrenchment zimetokea ndani ya miaka 10 hii. Kwa hiyo ujio wa AI kidogo umerahisisha kuongeza ufanisi, kwa mfano kwenye uzalishaji wa maudhui. Zamani newsroom zilikuwa zinahitaji kuwa na translators. Anakaa kabisa na dawati lake na kompyuta, analipwa kwa mwezi na kila kitu. Sasa hizi tunaweza kutumia open source tools ambazo zinaweza zikatranslate. Kwa hiyo angalau ile pressure kwa vyombo vya habari kwamba habari za kimataifa au source ameongea Kifaransa kwenye mkutano pale Dar es Salaam, inakuwa ni rahisi sana kuandaa maudhui. Vivyo hivi hata pia kwenye data journalism. Tanzania hapa uwezo wa waandishi kuchambua hizi data kwenye level ambayo mtu anaweza akaelewa, na kwa sababu inahitaji kidogo ujuzi wa takwimu, uchambuaji, AI saizi imekuwa ni rahisi kidogo. Kwa hiyo mtu anaweza akachukua zile data kutoka kwenye, kama ni open data portal ama kutoka kwenye ofisi ya taifa ya takwimu, akaenda kwenye AI tools akaiambia hebu ni story gani ziko hapa. Kwa hiyo inakuwa ni rahisi ikampatia, na hata akitaka anaweza kuingiza zile data, ile AI ikaziscrap, ikabadilisha kwenye format ambayo mashine ikaelewa, ikatengeneza hadi hizo visualization. Sasa cha msingi tu ni kwamba ubaya sasa wa AI, kama wewe mwenyewe huna ujuzi wa msingi kuhusu kile kitu unachokiuliza, inaweza ikakupa kitu ambacho pia sio chenye ubora. Kwa baadhi ya waandishi pia kwenye lugha za vijana nasema wanaingia mkenge, kwa sababu ile quality check ya kile ambacho kimezalishwa inakuwa imepungua. Lakini sasa ulipouliza kuhusu sustainability, kuna changamoto kubwa inayoendelea newsroom. Nadhani media executives wengi waliopo CEO hapa, okay, AI imetusaidia kupunguza gharama za uendeshaji kwenye habari, lakini kwenye taasisi kuendelea kukata cost bila kuingiza mapato, maana yake unajichimbia kaburi. You are just waiting to die. Kwa moja ya vitu ambavyo wengi sasa tunajaribu kuangalia, na nadhani movement ya dunia nzima, ni namna gani tunaweza tukaingiza pesa kwenye newsroom bila hata pia kutegemea sana wahisani, kwa sababu tumeona crisis zilivyotokea hapa karibu. Je, tunawezeje kuzalisha fedha kwa kutumia his content, either ni nani news content ama news content, ili tuendelee kuzalisha ile public interest journalism? Kwa sababu mwisho wa siku, hata kama tutasema tutategemea AI kutusaidia kidogo clean content na nini, kama tutaendelea kuzalisha kila siku AI generated content, kutakuwa kuna siku content yote ambayo AI inatupa ni ile content ambayo imezalisha yenyewe, then tutacompromise truth, which is a paramount in journalism, because people comes to our media because we sell truth, and that they are actually giving us trust. Ndio maana haendi kwenye chombo kingine, anatuni kwetu, anaamini tunampa the quality. So we are in the business of trust. Katika circumstances ambayo AI itakuwa inazalisha content ambayo imejitrain, yani content yake yenyewe, maana yake ni nini? Hakutakuwa na continuity ya uhakika. Na sasa tunafanya nini? Maybe kwenye sustainability aspect ambacho tunafikiri nadhani inaweza ikatokea, na tumeshaona nje watu wameanza kubagain, labda sisi media tuendelee kuwa wazalishaji wa original content, kwa sababu machines zinaweza kutengeneza stories, zinaweza kufanya kila kitu. Kwa tuendelee kuzalisha yale maudhui yanaweza kutumika kutrain these models, alafu wale watulipe sisi, kwa sababu obviously breaking news ya hapa hata kama tutakuwa tuna robot hapa, huenda likakosa context, sababu sio data zote tulizonazo hapa. Kuna data za miaka labda ya 50, mashine bado hazijawa trained tu. Kwa kama tunaweza tukaongea na big tech, lakini hata local tech AI companies sisi tukaanza wakawa natulipa for content tunayozalisha. I don't know how that will be sustainable wakiwa na data nyingi zaidi, but at least inaweza kutupunguzia cost ya kuzalisha news. But it's going to be very waste for local media, especially community owned radio stations ambazo ziko kwenye particular districts, ambazo huenda data zao zisiwe nyingi sana na big companies, let's say mwananchi ambao wana data zina miaka 30 also. Kwa hata ile bargaining power hizi big tech zikulipe shingapi pia itakuwa determined in amount of data ambazo utakuwa unazipatia for stories.
All right, asante sana. Naomba upeleke microphone kwa Jan na Joan. I hope you heard Aidan's keynote, na kwenye keynote yake alituambia Kenyans are doing very well. Na wana very good AI powered civic tools. Sasa, with your experience from Media Focus on Africa, kutoka pale Kampala, Uganda, tuambie in this room, tuondoke na nini? Give us your regional experiences on the community-centered models, that are sustainable and that can help the media sustainability agenda that is in the room. But as you finish, please also tuambie, how should the mama mboga be convinced to pay for news wakati ana uwezo wa kupata forwarded message ya WhatsApp? Akiingia tu kwenye WhatsApp anaweka bando kidogo, anapata forward, anasoma habari. Sasa unamshawishi alipie angalau shilingi 500 ili anunue, subscribe kwenye news. Ebu speak about that.
Okay, asante sana. Ningependa kuongea kwa Kiswahili sana, ila niko nahofia kwamba sitaeleweka vizuri. Kwa hiyo naomba niongee kwa Kiingereza. I hope I am rated highly with my attempt.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to be back here and just to talk about a very critical conversation. And the way it's been presented, I like to look at the world from a view of optimism, and so I'm going to take that path. Kenya. We congratulate the Kenyans for the good things they are doing, but I wish to re-echo also what I think Maxine said, that the context of the geographies is very, very important. The context of the geopolitical geographies is even more critical for the media. Why the Kenyans, for example, may have more, I don't want to undermine the liberties in Uganda, but they may have more liberties to be proactive. I do not want to think that those AI tools are not accessible for the Ugandans. The point is whether they are utilizing them for civic engagement. And so I can use Gemini, I can use Grok, I can use any other things, but what am I using it for example, right? I'm likely going to use it for my personal things. But if I go and ask Grok the actual age of my president, what am I going to use this information for? And then we say, oh, Grok has told us, for example, that the president is XX years. What does the law say about leadership? And what does the law say about leadership at a certain age? Can certain people be trusted to run a country at a certain age? Now, those are fundamental questions that can expose you to more conversations about trying to overstep your role in the media, for example. So we find ourselves living in fear of the unknown. So if I went and used these, for example, fact-checking tools to raise basic issues about public interest, I think that I will be very successful. But sometimes the environment has been so polarized that our questions are mostly political, right? I can find medicine, I can know where pregnant women can go when they need to have, and this information, Mama Mboga has it. But if we are going to ask about how many people are in the voter register, how many people can be accessed, some of those questions come back to who is speaking, who is asking these questions, who is the media owner of the journalist who is asking these questions. And that comes back to the geopolitical environment of journalism. Yeah, and so I would most definitely encourage public interest conversations. We are not doing it as much, although there are efforts that are being done. There are young people who go out and definitely fact check different issues, but the training on public accountability reporting and transparency have not been very intentional, but it's important that we become more radical, right? Earlier in the day, somebody asked a question whether AI is going to be utilized in the coming elections. And thankfully, they got the answers. But AI may have been utilized immediately. The swearing in happened, right? Until today, but journalism is asking the question a few months to the elections. So our question, my issue here is that we need to prepare the media to be ahead of the people who are contending against it, right? Why is that important? Because even if I'm bringing a public interest story right now ahead of an election, it should have come up like 5 years ago, right? And we should ensure we have a continuity of conversations. And that's where we can raise attention to accountability. That's where those tools which are being used, which must be used every day, not just for a particular area, they must be spread across. In terms, so we must mainstream, must mainstream the use of AI and to promote it in terms of sustainability. I hope I've not lost you. But just in terms of sustainability, again, the context that every media house must define sustainability. If you do not define sustainability, you're not going to diagnose it very well. I have seen media houses that are financially viable. They have a lot of money. You see them? They have a lot of money. But their journalism is very, very poor. How do we address that? Are they media houses or they're something else? When they are given licenses, are they given licenses for journalism or they're given licenses as something else? Because then they're not doing the fundamental role of journalism. If you think about the pillars of government, the fourth estate is supposedly slightly higher, but it's not taking its place because these three seem to have so much power. And so sustainability would mean that good and quality journalism should not be left behind. And good and quality journalism means we must ask the audiences what they want to hear. Do they want to hear political talk shows every morning? Do they want to hear where the president has gone from morning to evening? The president was here, the president added, the president also went. If that's what they genuinely want to hear, did we ask them? Do they know about how to treat, do they know the basics of first aid in their homes? Do they know how to interpret a child's report when it's brought to them? Do they know how to make a simple digital transaction? So, in line with what he had said, the content is the reason Mama Mboga will spend
500 shillings.
Yeah. If you're not telling her what is going to transform her life, if we have not asked her what's the most important thing, she will have no reason. She will believe the WhatsApp groups. And so the media must build its confidence. You must be confident that you have a role to do in society. And you must rise up and do it. The principles of journalism have not changed. Since
andike makala nzuri sana. Asante sana Jan, umetutafakarisha. Mpatie microphone Dina. Dina, naomba utusaidie. Kenya advance in a way kwenye mijadala ya kufanya regulations za AI. Wengine bado tunatafakari, lakini tunao wadau wa muhimu sana hapa ambao watatusaidia tufike huko na sisi. Ila nina swali moja kwako, utusaidie kwenye kuhusu regulations na media professionalism. How can we regulate AI bila kuharibu uhalisia wa media ambao alikuwa anatuambia jana hapa, zile principles za journalism? Tunawezaje kuzilinda wakati tunataka kufanya regulations za AI ambayo inaenda kwa speed sio kwa ya kawaida na kila siku kuna mabadiliko? Hizo regulations zita exist kwa muda gani? Zitarekebishwa kwa muda gani? Ninakuwa confused kidogo. Natamani utusaidie tujue how are we going to survive now.
But we also have our own challenges. I don't want to spoil the party yet because we have had statements like, the Kenyan Constitution 2010 sounds like an opposition manifesto. So, so Kenyans cannot cry for any more rights or freedom, so to speak. But we thank you for the accolades, but I want to say that AI, much as all of us in the media sector have gotten past the perspective that AI is supposed to be a disruptor, and now we are accepting the fact that it is more of an opportunity than a disruptor, then you start looking at what are the complexities of regulating AI. Because therein lies the balance between AI acting as a tool for operation, like the keynote speaker talks about, and an opportunity for the media to thrive. Now, in Kenya, we are trying to come up with regulations and guidelines on AI. But all this has to be anchored in the journalistic codes of ethics, the existing ones. So I also want to use this as an opportunity to respond to the dilemma that the question that was posed also by the keynote speaker, that our newsrooms are dying, concepts. I want to say that even as AI has come with a lot of, this is the era of information, and also the era of mal and disinformation, malinformation, and misinformation. I want to say that there also lies an opportunity in making credibility or verification the currency to retain the trust that media has always carried. I don't know about Uganda and Tanzania, and of course that is where I'm learning a lot. In Kenya, there is that perception that, of course, we will read WhatsApp messages, we will go online where bloggers are talking about everything and anything. But at the end of the day, you will find that Mama Mboga, the lady who is selling vegetables next to the roadside, saying, yeah, it's good. I've heard a lot of that, but what has the radio station talked about? What is the headline of today's Standard, Nation, Star, whichever your favorite newspaper or station? That tells you that who has all the freedom to put out anything they want. So sometimes there is that difficulty of trying to re-engineer the minds of a journalist, that you do not have to be the first one, because sometimes that comes with consequences. You will be the first one today, tomorrow you will be the first, the other day you will be the first, but you will not be the most accurate in all aspects. What does that do? It means that the audience starts to trust you less and less. And that is why in Kenya we have terms like Githeri media. I don't know what you understand what Githeri is. It's a mixture of Mahindi and Maharagwe, which we really don't respect a lot in Kenya. So they like to call
as Githeri media, whenever we make mistakes, so the audience is very harsh when they find that they cannot trust media, that the media has become part of the conveyor belt for the misinformation and all that. So it is a tough balancing act, but at the end of the day, we need to focus on the right things. Now, you asked me also to talk about how we can ensure that we use, actually we are in the process ourselves of amending the code of conduct for the practice of journalism, because as opposed to the previous times when we used to do a code and then we, rest, saying, we did a code, so we have to give it a few years for it to be reviewed. Back to you later, and I think that call goes to all sectors as well. Back to you later, and I think that call goes to all sectors as well. Pokea mikono michache kutoka kwa audience na wao wazungumzie hili swala. Kuna mambo mengi mmefanya Tanzania Media Foundation, kujenga uwezo wa vyombo vya habari kwenye kudiversify funding na kutafuta fedha. Nimesikia mara kadhaa mkiwafundisha hata kuwa na side hustles. Na maisha yanaendelea kuwa changamoto na tunazidi kuona sustainability inaendelea kudolola badala ya kupanda. Wale wanaojaribu naona wanafika mbele, wanakutana na vipingamizi, wanarudi nyuma, na at the end of the day tunaendelea kudoloresha demokrasia, kwa sababu hatuna demokrasia bila media ambayo iko huru na ambayo iko sustainable. Sasa hebu tuambie tu kwa ufupi, najua una mengi ya kusema, lakini kwa ufupi, nini tufanye ili katika haya yote mnaoyafanya kusaidia media ziweze kuthrive? Ni nini cha muhimu unataka tutoke nacho hapa?
Yes, sasa nashukuru kwanza. Nina pointi 4, zitakiwa ziwe 5 lakini 4 ili kuleta pointi hiyo nyumbani. Siwezi kutoa maoni hayo kwanza bila kueleza pointi hizi 3 leo viwezesha kuzalisha huo uandishi wenye viwango vya ubora. Hivyo nitakwenda tena haraka. Sasa hivi tunaposema media sustainability tunamaanisha nini? Tunamaanisha kwamba ni uwezo wa chombo cha habari kuzalisha maudhui yenye ubora ya uandishi wa habari kwa uendelevu. Kwa hiyo mtanoti neno uendelevu. Katika nyakati zote kwenye political hurdles whatever au environment, chombo cha habari kiweze kuzalisha maudhui yenye ubora. Ama kwenye uchumi ni mgumu, chombo cha habari kiweze kuendelea kuzalisha maudhui ya namna hiyo yenye ubora. Sasa kwa hiyo kikifanya hivyo, wananchi wakikiamini, hiki chombo kinaweza kuendelea kusimama. Sasa uandishi wa habari, nilitamani kusema, maana mara nyingi sana huwa tunachanganya sana uandishi wa habari na habari kwa ujumla. Hapa tunazungumza uandishi wa habari, na nitaka niuelezee kidogo kwa sababu huu ndio tunaousukuma kama TMF. Sasa uandishi wa habari tukisema tu define, kila mtu ataeleza mambo yake. Lakini mimi nitakwambia uandishi wa habari tunaoangalia kwa sura ama dimensions 3. Tukisema uandishi wa habari huwa tunazungumza kusudi la uandishi wa habari ni nini? Tunasema ni maslahi ya umma, public interest. Kwa hiyo ukizungumza uandishi wa habari ujue upo kwa ajili ya maslahi ya umma. Lakini jambo la pili tunazungumza, huu uandishi wa habari huwa una focus wapi? Tunasema una focus kwenye accountability. Kwa hiyo uandishi unao focus kwenye accountability unaitwa accountability journalism, na unaoangalia maslahi ya umma watauita public interest journalism. Lakini pia uandishi huu unatumia tekniki ipi? Huu uandishi unatumia investigative techniques. Sasa hizo nilizozitaja sio aina 3 za uandishi wa habari. No. Hizo ni dimensions za journalism. Sasa uandishi huo, kama ningekwambia, ningekuuliza hivi, tukisema public interest journalism tunamaanisha nini? Tunamaanisha mambo makuu 3: uhai, uhuru na furaha. Sasa kama vyombo vya habari vinashindwa kuona mambo yanayogusa uhai wa watu, uhuru wa watu na furaha ya watu, ujue kwamba uandishi huo sio journalism. Hicho ni kitu kingine. Sasa uandishi huu tujiulize swali. Hivi huu uandishi upo kwenye vyombo vya habari? Mkijiuliza wenzetu wa chuo kikuu cha Dar es Salaam wapo hapa, wanajua. Wao watakwambia kwenye ripoti zao, mkizisoma vizuri, watakwambia uandishi huu uko 4% tu kwenye vyombo vya habari. Na ma-researcher kama kaka Edani atakwambia that is insignificant, kwamba hiyo ni kama haupo. Tena wengine wanasema umekufa uandishi huu. Sasa kwa nini haupo? Ndio tunakwenda kwenye hiyo sustainability. Kwa nini haupo? Kwa sababu bidhaa kuu, nadhani dada amesema, bidhaa kuu ya uandishi wa habari au vyombo vya habari ni content. Hata mkifanya event, mkafanya vitu vyote hivyo, tunawadai content yenye ubora na ya uandishi wa habari. Sasa huu uandishi kwa nini kwenye nchi yetu tunagundua kwa nini haupo? Tunazungumza mifumo ya ndani ya vyombo vya habari na uwezo wa waandishi wa habari. Sasa tukizungumza mifumo ya ndani, hatuzungumzi tu business and financial systems. No, tunazungumza management na masuala ya governance systems. Tunazungumza innovation and technology systems katika chombo cha habari. Tunazungumza masuala ya compliance na masuala ya sheria, mifumo ya ndani. Na tunazungumza masuala ya utawala na management. Sasa ukivitazama hivi vitu kwa assessment tuliyofanya TMF, kama najua ni haraka sana, sihitaji sasa kusoma hizo takwimu, lakini nitakwambia kwa ujumla wake vyombo tunapopima viability level viko kwenye 33%, maana havijafika hata nusu. Yaani kwenye uimara wao wa ndani, hivi vyombo tulivyoviassess viko 30. Uimara wao wa ndani uko 33%. Sasa 33 haijafika hata nusu. Maana hivi vyombo ni weak. They have weak internal viability systems. Na kwa mantiki hiyo vyombo hivi haviwezi kuzalisha maudhui yenye viwango vya ubora. Sasa unategemea nini? Demokrasia inayumba kwa sababu hawa tunaowaita fourth estate hawawezi kuquestion chochote kwa sababu hawa jamaa wako na shida sana. So kama nitasema sasa approach ambayo sasa tunafikiri kwamba ni bora sana kuitumia kuwezesha waandishi wa habari na vyombo vya habari wawe strong. Tumeshaachana na vitu vinaitwa training. Hivi vya kuwaita siku moja unawapa shilingi sui ngapi, siku moja unabombali na maneno mengi sana. Alafu akitoka hapo umehudhuria, ukiwauliza waandishi wa habari waliko hapa, ukiwauliza umehudhuria semina ngapi tangu umekuwa mwandishi wa habari, atakwambia labda hata 1000. Ukimuuliza umewahi kuzifanyia nini hizo, labda atakueleza tu nilifanyia kidogo lakini angalau ninakumbuka zile posho. Kwa hiyo tukasema kuliko kuendelea na haya mambo tufanye nurturing. Tunatumia neno hilo nurturing. Sio mentorship, tunazungumza nurturing. Kwa nini tunatumia neno nurturing? Ni kwamba waandishi wa habari wanahitaji kuwa kwenye a systematic nurturing long term, lakini ikiwa ni purposeful. Na hapo tunazungumza nurturing katika levels 3, kwamba tuna kitu naita parenting. Parenting. Then we talk of coaching. Then we talk of mentorship. Mnaona mentorship iko level ya juu. Kuna watu hawajui hata kutumia Excel. Nusu akimwambia analyze data, hawezi kukimuuliza hivi cell ni nini, hivi column ni nini, hajui. Alafu namfundisha ChatGPT inavyo analyze vitu gani, hivyo vitu hajui. Kwa hiyo tunasema tukiwanacha polepole, then hawa watu wanaweza kuwa ni waandishi wenye viwango vya ubora. Naomba nishie tu hapa, najua ni.
Asante sana, makofi kwake. Tunakushukuru sana. Sasa najua muda wetu hautoshi. Hawa watu walioko hapa wana uzoefu mwingi sana. Hata wangeongea mpaka kesho wasingemaliza yote walionayo. Lakini Dunstan ametuchokoza na ametuachia tafakari ya muhimu. Je, unafanya mentorship au unafanya nurturing? Kazi kwako. Tukafanye nurturing. Sasa nataka tumruhusu yule ndugu yetu wa Google ambaye nimeambiwa yuko tayari, lakini kabla tujamruhusu, maana nisingependa kuendelea kuwaweka hawa watu kwenye spotlight, ningetamani warudi kwenye viti vyao, lakini natamani kama kuna any burning question to any of these guys here, naomba nione mkono ili tumalize kabisa hilo swali. Okay, basi na yaruhusu haya matatu tu kutoka Rohi na Rohi na Rohi. Pale kwa kaka, hapo kwa dada. Okay. Yule pale kaka wa kwanza. Ili wakijibu warudi kwenye viti, alafu tupate presentation ya Google. Hata kama una controversial question au controversial opinion na kulinda. Kwa hiyo wewe sema tu. Haya, una sekunde zako chache, karibu.
Asante. Mimi naitwa Musa Juma.
Ndio.
Mwenyekiti wa chama cha waandishi wa habari, chama cha wafanyakazi katika vyombo vya habari. Journalists Workers Union of Tanzania. Swali langu taligusia katika presentation ya kwanza ya brother Aidan. Aliuliza kwamba technology save the people or people save the technology. Na kidogo sustainability. Sisi kama waandishi wa habari tunapenda matumizi ya AI yaendelee, lakini changamoto iliyopo ni moja. Kuna hofu kubwa sana katika industry ya watu kupoteza ajira kutokana na matumizi ya AI. Sasa tunaposema sustainability ya media, atuzungumzia hawa waandishi ambao ndio wanatakiwa waandike hizo habari. Sasa hivi karibu media 80% ya waandishi Tanzania hawana ajira, hawana mikataba. Hata sustainability ya media unaizungumzia kwa upande ujio ni majengo, vyombo nini, au wale ambao wana produce hizo content. Sasa nataka Brazil anieleze, je, nini unafikiria kifanyike ili walau hii mnapozungumzia sustainability ya media na hizo technology ambazo zipo zitawezaje kuwa empower hao waandishi wenyewe ili waweze kuwa wanufaika wa hizi technology, kwa sababu sasa hivi unaonekana kama wao hawaendi kuwa wanufaika kwa sababu wanaenda kuwekwa pembeni na AI. Maana sasa hizi hata AI inaweza kukupa, haina haja kufanya postmortem asubuhi, unaiuliza tu Arusha kuna nini, Mwanza kuna nini, nakwambia habari kubwa ya Arusha ni hii. Kwa hiyo haina haja kupita vingi. Hiyo ya kwanza. Pili sasa nimuulize brother mwingine hapo mbele, kuna issue ya plagiarism sasa hivi. Sasa kuna ethics za uandishi inapingana. Sasa je, kutokana na matumizi makubwa sasa yanakuja AI kwenye media industry, tuna haja ya kufikiria upya kuhusu ethics za media, kwa sababu huko mbele unapokwenda kuna mambo ambayo yanaenda kuingiliana, inaonekana hii sio kosa, hili ni kosa. Je, kuna hiyo haja sasa kucheck ethics upya? Asante.
Asante sana. Jirani yako dada yule pale, sekunde 30 tafadhali. Huyu nimemruhusu, sijamkatisha kwa sababu ni mwakilishi wa chama cha wafanyakazi wa media.
Habari sana. Asante. Jina naitwa Caroline Patrick, ni consultant on behalf wa GIZ. Swali langu lilikuwa linahusu policies na laws ambazo zinadhibiti vyombo vya habari. Hatuwezi kuongelea sustainability bila kuangalia namna hizi sera na laws zinadhibiti vyombo vya habari. Je, kuna sera gani za sasa zinazozuia uendelevu wa vyombo vya habari?
Asante sana. Swali la mwisho kwa kaka pale.
Asante. Naitwa Ole Essel, ni visual communicator wa Jamii Afrika. Nina swali au naomba shauri ya watu ambao wapo. Kwenye karne zilizopita na karne hii tumeona mabadiliko makubwa kwenye namna tunavyo consume taarifa. Na hasa kwenye emergence ya mitandao ya kijamii tumegundua vya habari na pia waandishi wa habari wamestruggle ku react, ku apply kazi zao kwenye context mpya ya information consumption. Sasa hivi mabadiliko mapya AI, labda mnaweza kutoa shauri mabadiliko yapo tatokea hiyo microphone haifanyi kazi vizuri, ya kushape tunavyo consume taarifa, na then vyombo vya habari na waandishi shauri ya kuwa mbele ya vimbi, ahead of the wave this time, sio kureact, kuchelewa kureact. Sasa hivi tena watu wana scramble kuingia kwenye landscape ya digitali, lakini innovation mpya inakuja AI, na sasa hivi tuhakikishe tuko mbele ya vimbi, tuhakikishe tuna wapatia wananchi na watu wote taarifa za kuaminika na zenye tija. So waandishi wa habari na vyombo vya habari wafanye nini?
Asante sana, na tumpigie makofi ameongea Kiswahili vizuri sana. Haya, Kenneth Kiunga, najua upo na unatusikiliza vizuri, na haya maswali pia bila shaka umeyasikiliza, na nitafurahi na wewe ukijibu maswali hayo vile vile wakati unazungumza. Ila kabla sija kuruhusu uzungumze, naomba dakika moja tu ili kusudi muweze kurudi kwenye viti vyenu mjibu haya maswali. Na nitapenda nianze pale kwa mzee wa Nacheling. Ndio jina lako kuanzia leo. mpaka tuelewe, tufanye nurturing, sio mentorship, coaching, sijui motivation. Tunataka kunacha.
Dakika moja ya kueleza, kujibu maswali.
Kujibu maswali yote, yes.
Okay, nitachagua tu swali la ndugu pale. Na nitasema hivi, ili waandishi wa habari na vyombo vya habari waweze kuwa mbele, si kuwa nyuma, wanahitaji mambo makuu matatu haraka sana. Jambo la kwanza nasema ni desire. Desire ni shauku. Sasa shauku ni shauku ya kubadilika na shauku ya kukua. Si wao tu kubadilisha tasnia au sekta na kubadilisha jamii yetu.
Ndio.
Lakini jambo la pili ambalo wanahitaji kuwa nalo tunasema ni investment readiness. Wawe na utayari wa kuinvesti resources zao walizonazo. Nitazitaja ni tatu. Ni maarifa ama ujuzi, maarifa ambayo knowledge, ujuzi na muda. Kama watainvesti kwenye kujifunza na kutafuta ujuzi consistently na wakatumia muda vizuri, itakuwa watakwenda mbele zaidi. Lakini jambo la mwisho naita ni resolve, yani kwamba kudhamiria na kujikita. Na hapo kuna mambo makuu matatu, kwamba wawe na commitment, lakini pia wawe na determination, and then wawe na focus. Hapo wanakwenda mbele zaidi.
Asante sana. Dina, karibu. Just a minute please.
Asante sana. Nitajibu swali la ndugu na dada hapa kwa kusema kwamba tusiwe na huo uoga. Nitajaribu Kiswahili, nikishinda harudi kwa Kiingereza.
Tutakupigia makofi sana ukiweza kwa Kiswahili.
Tusiwe na huo uoga kwamba will be replaced by AI kwa ndugu yangu pale, kwa sababu najaribu kusema kwamba there is something called the human loop in the use of AI. The human loop ni kusema kwamba when you are telling stories in public interest, there is the human aspect. The stories that you tell appeal to our emotions. I doubt that AI can do that effectively. So there is always that value addition to the information that AI can give you, so that you put the human aspect of stories. Kwa dadangu, in terms of legal reform, even in Kenya where we have a very good constitution, we are still struggling with over 20 laws that either contradict or have become obsolete and need to be reviewed. So this is a continuous process. Huwezi kufanya sheria moja useme kwamba hiyo yatosha. Utaendelea kufanya mabadiliko vile inavyohitajika. Asante.
Asante sana Jan. Dakika moja tafadhali.
Okay, first of all, I am an advocate of quality journalism, and it has not changed. So if journalists are doing the right thing, right, then they will be able to produce the right content, right? And when they produce the right content based on audience research, they will get the buyers of this information. As a journalist, you do not need the next workshop. There are enough tools online. I teach myself, right? And I teach yourself. When the workshop comes, you better make sure you have a practical result. And then sustainability, very quickly. I have done sustainability projects with journalism where we just simply had to improve the environment in a newsroom, and it brought money. Increase the kind of content based on audience research, and it brought money. And that money resulted into the welfare of journalists. If we can ask heads of state radical questions, why are you doing your job without a contract? It is not an AI problem. It's a personal responsibility and leadership problem. Do journalists have leadership that actually speak to their needs? Right? I have written other journalists and I've been paid by my media house, but I have written that same story to about 5 other media houses, and they have paid me. That is sustainability. And finally, one guy I met in northern Uganda, after having a training, he told me, thank you for the training. I am running off to a field to load my bags of rice. It is market day. What does sustainability mean to you? Do you have to get all your money from the media owner? Yet, I'm sure when he went and sold, he could have found a good agriculture story and a good market story. So we must think as if there was never a box. Otherwise, we can't keep backing up the same tree and looking for somebody else to blame. If there's a problem, you have to take personal responsibility and fix it. So what are you doing? That's a question we must ask ourselves.
Sure.
Right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my brother Karibu, just a minute, please.
Sure, Madam Moderator. I think issues of media sustainability cannot be looked at from a newsroom or internal media focus only, but they are a multi-stakeholder and a multidisciplinary issue. So we want our governments and the regulators on board. We want our tech engineers, our computer geeks on board. Regarding AI, we certainly need a little bit more research. This is technology that we are adopting from outside. And we need more research in terms of language modeling. We need more research in terms of how even inclusive, even from a gender perspective, this technology is. I do believe that African audiences will save our media, but they need to be more engaged. They need to be part of the media infrastructure in terms of their participation, in terms of their provision of feedback. Our governments need to reflect on the operational environment of media in Africa in terms of policies and legislation. Media in Africa will not be sustainable in repressive environments. So the basic issues around media policy and advocacy, they remain are relevant. And part of it is very simple. Equity in terms of government advertising. In Kenya, in Tanzania, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, our governments are still very much biased in terms of their support for media. And the challenge that technology is bringing is that the African media is being decimated. And we need our governments to understand that they have a key role to play in supporting media sustainability.
Thank you so much. Yes, Nuzulak, to you.
Thank you. I think nitaanza kumjibu Ole kuhusu aina ya content namna kwenda na audience. Cha kwanza kwenye kipindi hiki cha Akili Unde, hatuna tena mass production of news kwamba for the general audience. Nadhani ni wakati wa kuanza kupersonalize news kutokana na mahitaji ya watu, kwa sababu hayo mengine wanaweza wakapata kwenye general truths. Lakini hiki ndio kipindi ambacho tunahitaji sana kufanya local journalism, rural kind of journalism, ambavyo kind of content is not led huko kwenye nani. Kwa nenda vijijini, human interest stories, public interest stories, bado zitakuwa relevant and some people would be interested to that. Lakini pia kuangalia pia na specialization according to audience, kwa sababu ya language issues, ili uweze kuketa kila audience kutokana na mahitaji yao. Msa kuhusu ethical consideration. Najua sio movement ya newsroom zote, lakini baadhi ya newsroom zimeanza kuwa na policies. Mzani Nukta Africa tuna policy mwaka wa 2 sasa. Kama unadhani image zako, video zako umetengenezea AI purely and for illustration purposes, not to tell the truth, naomba pale chini useme hii video imetengenezwa na AI for transparency purpose. So transparency is something you should be paramount. Kwa sababu kwenye story zetu tunaweka byline, tukipiga picha, tukiweka story. We should be accountable for that. Lakini pia kuna issues kama ambazo wanasisitiza kila siku, na Max pia alikuwa ametoka kuzungumzia. AI nyingi ziko kwenye experiment stage. Kuna watu bado wanaenda kwenye back end kwa ajili ya kuziempower ziwe more accurate. Putting an investigative story to be edited on an AI tool is a suicide mission. We don't know who is behind that in terms of training data. So be careful on that. It will help you to be safe. Thank you.
Asante sana. Aidan, unapomalizia kwa kujibu haya maswali, utuambie pia sisi wa East Africa tutarajie nini kutoka OGP? OGP itatusaidia vipi tuweze kuzifanya nchi zetu na viongozi wetu waweze kuheshimu uhuru wa vyombo vya habari?
Hilo swali gumu. Ni
swali gumu kweli, ukiweza kwa dakika moja tutashukuru ili tumruhusu Kenneth na yeye azungumze.
Lakini ningependa nimjibu swali, nadhani ni Musa. Ndio. Kwa jibu langu tofauti kidogo. Wamesema wewe ni mwandishi wa habari, lakini ushindani unatokana na wale ambao ni waandaaji wa maudhui. These two are not the same thing. Kwa hiyo wale ambao wanaogopa kwamba kazi yangu ya uandishi wa habari mmejiweka kwenye sehemu ndogo sana, wakati wengine ushindani unatokana na wale ambao ni waandaaji wa maudhui, video, muziki, memes, kila kitu. Hao ndio mnashindana nao. Kwa hiyo ushauri wangu ni huu: usijiseme, usijitambulishe kama mwandishi wa habari. Itabidi uwe sasa wewe ni mwandaaji wa maudhui.
Wow.
Panua wigo.
Sana.
Na karibu alisema hapa Juang, itabidi ujiongeze, ujielimishe, ujifunze, upate uelewa na ufahamu wa mambo mengine mengi zaidi. Mimi wanangu wawili, binti zangu wawili, hawaangalii habari, lakini wameelimika, wanafuatilia nini? Uandaaji wa maudhui. Na sisi wengi wa ulaji wetu wa media, not news media, media ni pana zaidi kuliko ile uandishi wa habari. Kwa hiyo labda pelekeni hoja kwa chama chako, ubadilishe jina. Sio chama tena cha waandishi wa habari, lakini waandaaji wa maudhui, ndio kitu kimoja hicho. OGP, hapo.
Ndio CEO sasa.
Sawa. Sisi tunacho kipromote ni uwazi, ushiriki na uwajibikaji. Ndicho tu. Na ni juu yetu sisi kama wananchi kuzihamasisha serikali zetu ziweze kuja kusema tuko tayari kukaa na civil society pamoja na sisi serikali, tupanue uwazi, ushiriki na uwajibikaji. Sasa kazi kwenu sasa. Yes. Kama tupo tayari kama Watanzania kufanya hilo jambo, tutawapa fursa na nani hii zote zile. Lakini sisi kama sisi wenyewe sisi tunategemea hamasa ya wananchi ili tuweze kuleta hiyo mifumo. Kenya ni wanachama na Kenya wanafanya mambo mengi sana kwenye hili swala zima la artificial intelligence, wana artificial intelligence strategy, wana mambo mengi pamoja na changamoto, lakini wanajitahidi wao kuhakikisha kwamba kuna uwazi, ushiriki na uwajibikaji. Asante.
Maxens Tanzania irudi OGP, tunakupa hiyo kazi. CEO yuko hapa. Asante sana. Sasa naomba wapiga picha tafadhali, tuwapige picha ya pamoja hawa watu wakati tunamkaribisha Kenneth, na tuwapigie makofi mengi kweli kweli. Tusimame hapa tupate picha ya pamoja. Wapiga picha tafadhali tuwapatie picha ya pamoja. Session haijaisha ila wanapata picha ili warudi kwenda kumsikiliza Kenneth, alafu tutaendelea. Sure you were following and you had the keynote address, but you also had the responses from the panelists, and there you go. Karibu sana. We are here for you.
Some of you have either have
tool, I know that time is short, so let me just go directly to Notebook LM. And it's a tool that is pretty new. It was developed maybe a year ago or so, but over the last 1 year we have been adding new features almost every other month. And I want to show you some of these features, what you can do with Notebook LM. So Notebook LM is an AI research and writing tool, and it is designed to help you find, summarize, and read text. So that is the link. I will also, at the end,
be able to read that and give you a quick overview of what that website is about. So it shows you that this is one source. But I can add more links by coming here. I add a link. I add one from the ESC website. So I'm just copying the link as it is. Paste it like that. So you can include that two sources. Then we add a PDF document. So if it's a document, you choose the file. If this is a file, you choose the PDF. Or if it's a PDF that is online, this one, then just paste it here. You bring that as a PDF. So I'm collecting my information. I'm collecting different sources. So it's reading that. And you can recognize this PDF. And then I can add a YouTube video. So I said you can upload up to 50 sources. So come here at YouTube link. So I've added 4 sources. Additionally, I can go to the web and add sources. So for example, this is where you go to the web. So I don't know if you can see this cover. So you discover sources. And then you describe what you're interested in. So it's Africa community economic. So you look for sources online, and now you can choose the one that you want to have. So if I submit that, you'll see it is looking for sources online. So this is Wikipedia. So maybe I don't want Wikipedia, I just uncheck that. Maybe I want, maybe just this 3. See which one I can add. Maybe I can remove this. So you can just look at the overview and see what to do. So you can check what you're not interested in. Then you import. So you import, it is added here, it's added to the sources. So you can see all the sources that you have added, and then it shows you that there are 10 sources here. So once you've added the sources, you need to refresh. You need to refresh this page so that it collects, it gives you a summary. This summary includes all these sources. So you're just giving it time so that you can do it that. So I can declare that. Let me show you something. already reading all these things.
Yes, Kenneth.
So you can see it has given me the answer. So these are the opportunities. You can see how it has.
Hello, Kenneth. Can you hear us?
And the good thing with this, it also gives me where it has.
Hello, Kenneth. Can you hear us?
If you click on this, it will pop out. You can see where it has gotten that answer. If you click on it, it will go directly to the source. So you can read more about it there. And then you can, for example, say, provide.
Hello, Kenneth. Oh, yes, you're there. Can you hear us? Yeah, so we are a little short of time, and we wanted to have your final call so that whoever wants to engage more with this will reach out to you. Maybe what can we do to do that? Nancy, can you give us a direction? Nancy or Mike? Okay.
So, yeah, it's done. So I just wanted to show you the last thing here for creating a podcast. So this is where you generate the podcasts. And the podcast sounds something like this. I want to hear how it sounds so that people can appreciate, and then it will be done. So this is the podcast. Just listen to it, and then we'll be done. So I had done this before so that you can save some time. So so that you can just appreciate how it generates a podcast based on the material that you have given it. But as it does that, this is the question I asked, the story ideas. So you can see it has given me some story ideas based on the information that I've given it. And as I think as Nancy has said, if we want a more in-depth training on Notebook LM, you can reach out to me. I can share my contact with Nancy, and then she'll be able to do that.
Sure.
But this is the podcast, just 2 seconds, just listen to it.
That must feel like moving goods, from one country to another. It shouldn't be quite as complicated as sometimes people.
Well, absolutely, especially when you're going to a neighboring country.
Yeah.
Regions trying to go together.
Exactly. So today we're taking a close look at the East African community.
So it has generated a podcast, a 16-minute podcast, which you can download and post wherever you need to post.
Wow.
There are other features that, again, if you are interested, maybe your news team or your media houses want.
I think you can share with us more features.
Reach out, and I will more than happy to take your team through that.
Yes, Kenneth.
Email here. That's my email. Just feel free to reach out. And also share, Nancy, I'll share with you the link for feedback, which you can share with the participants. Thank you.
Asante sana Kenneth, makofi kwake. Asante sana Kenneth, tunashukuru kwa kutuongezea nyenzo ya kupigana vitani. Tunakushukuru sana. Hii vita tumeshashinda. Asante. Na hatuna hofu tena. Nikurudishie ndugu yangu. Najua muda umekwenda. Tulikuwa tuna poll ya audience, walikuwa na maswali matatu tu kwa ajili ya media sustainability, lakini nafikiri technology ilituchanganya. Kwa hiyo tutakapopata wasaa tuta display tu ile QR code, alafu watu watapoll, watajibu yale maswali ili tupate mawazo yao juu ya media sustainability. Asante. Na kurudishia microphone.
Asante. Naomba tumpigie makofi moderator wetu wa session hii. That was an insightful panelists ambao wamekuja kutupa hapa mambo mazuri kuhusu the future of media sustainability in the digital era. Na makofi mengine tena kwa dada yangu ambaye ameendesha vizuri sana. Now I'm standing between you and your lunch, but I ask for your indulgence for just 5 minutes. There was a session that hatukufanya ya kusikiliza testimonies, but kwa sababu lunch iko karibu, nitaomba tutasikiliza testimony moja tu, na I'm sure Amir Singano wa Mwananchi hautatuchelewesha kwenda kwenye chakula, much as we know your testimony is really interesting. Ninaomba nimkaribishe Amir Singano ambaye atatupa testimony ambayo yuko mundani. Is Amin anywhere nearby here? Can you come in front please? Karibu. Sasa kumbe hata ulikuwa hujasikia wakati tunakukaribisha. Naomba nikukaribishe tena kwa ajili ya testimony. Naomba tumkaribishe kwa makofi tafadhali. Please, if you can share your testimony for a very few minutes. You are standing between our very nice lunch with your testimony. Karibu.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Amir Simbano. I come from Mwananchi. I represent Mwananchi Communications Limited, which has the product of Mwananchi, the Citizen, and the Mwanaspoti, and the East African. So here's my brief testimony of how AI have enhanced our working environment in terms of saving time, in terms of maintaining consistency and accuracy on how we do exactly. But I'll use through three main areas that as media companies has helped us. In a minute, I summarize it somewhere here. So for us, MCL or Mwananchi Communications Limited, AI is not something for future, but something that we really are living up to now. It's not something that, as I've had different presenters here and also participants talk about how AI can grab people's employment. For us, it's an opportunity to enhance what they are doing. How can they be more perfect in whatever they are doing? So from Mwananchi, it has helped us in three main areas. First, in terms of first-thing news production. We all know the process of creating content is kind of long and tireless, but from Mwananchi what we use that the AI is enhancing our working performance. Instead of using the whole day to create content, now our journalists can use very few minutes to generate content and take it forward for a consumer. But also the audience insight. Mwananchi Communications is a customer-driven company, so we need to understand how our customer want the content. Where do you want them to be, and at what time they really wanted to consume this information. So what we did, we used this kind of AIs and a lot of different platforms like Chatbit and other AI tools, which help us to understand better our customer, so as we can give them what they really want, when and where exactly. We are well known as a printing newspaper company, but for now, if you go forward, you can see Mwananchi, we have a lot of innovation, and just for this year, we have won Africa Innovation Award for our new platform called MwanaClick, which is we go outside there, you can see the product. How is it? All of that is how we enhance our customer journey. How do they want to experience the content we create? It's not all about delivering through newspaper, but where exactly they are. So through that, also it's helping us to understand what they want and give them where they are. But also, when it comes to efficiency, I've had a lot of nice stories here about the fact-checking and how quickly we can go faster with accuracy. So AI, in our way, it has helped us a lot in terms of giving the consistency of giving people a timely information, but also at the same time, without compromising the quality in terms of breaking the news and accuracy. Also, and the last area that we really benefited from it is through the innovation. When you come to Mwananchi, we're going to say we're going to find something called an innovation hub inside the newsroom. We used to think innovation hub for tech people, but now as a Mwananchi communication, we have innovation hub inside the media house. What does it mean? Is to create to leverage the gap between journalism and technology. So now our journalists, they can be able to understand well how technology works, as we are enablers, help them to understand. If it happens that there is a new trend in the world, we inform them that our customers now have changed their behavior. This is how they want to access the informations. It helped us to create a lot of digital platforms. If you hear me correctly, we have the vibrant social media. If you can experience, we have a vibrant and the first premium website in Tanzania. As a media house, we are very proud to be the first person to think of that. I lead the transformation journey of Mwananchi from 2020 to date. I can really see how we have...
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Amir. Well, now is 13 hours and 23 minutes. We are supposed to come back here at 2, and then we'll break up in sessions that you have been invited to. So may I ask you to see how you can come back here at least 10 minutes past 2. Lunch is served in 2 places. First, we have the main restaurant, which every one of us is invited. But for the VIPs and the panelists and the head of organization, they'll go to a small room just immediately after this hall. They will be directed by the ushers. Karibuni, chakula cha mchana, na viongozi wote nyinyi mtakula huku pamoja na viongozi wetu UN, EAC, Mheshimiwa Balozi, Mr. Toto. Also they will go on the right hand side, and I'm sure the ushers will